Can you call roll, please? Santola?
Here.
Guerrero? Here. Leeper? Here. Oakley?
Here.
Staub?
Here.
Stahl?
Here.
Williams?
Here.
Okay, and Mr. Britton, will you lead us to the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Obviously, we have a lot of visitors here to talk about the attendance centers, which we'll get to in a moment. I do also have David Braun, our school district attorney. He's going to address the Open Meetings Act violation with the board and give us a little bit of insight on that.
And moving on to the consent agenda. Anyone have any questions? So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams. Is there a second? By Mike Staub. Call roll, please. Guerrero? Yes. Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Okay. And to the superintendent.
To start off with, enrollment numbers for the district. Starting off with Sangamon Valley East Elementary. I didn't provide a printout for the board. Kindergarten had 22, first grade 39, second 35, third grade 24, fourth grade 21, for a total of 141. At Sangamon Valley West Elementary, kindergarten 21, first grade 18, second grade 21, third grade 14, fourth grade 19, and fifth grade 48. And you can see the class size totals out to the right-hand column. Kindergarten 43 district-wide, first grade 57, second grade 56, third grade 38, fourth 40, and fifth grade 48. Middle school numbers were down a little bit, 45 at sixth grade. Seventh grade, we had 64, eighth grade 51, for a total of 160. And then the high school, ninth grade 62, 10th grade 65, 11th grade 63, and 12th grade 50, for a total of 240. Total district enrollment 682.
Which is from last year slightly down, correct?
A little bit down, yes, but that's a pretty average. I think at the beginning of the consolidation, we were in around the 730, 740 range, and we've dropped since then, but stayed consistent over the last few years.
I think it's at 850. If I look back in the records on where the report card, it's like 820 to 850.
Well, I would have to go back and check, that seems high. But I can look. It's 12 years. Any questions on the enrollment numbers? Next, the science lab update. Due to the lack of bids, we had to put the science lab remodel job back out for bids, and I think it was a positive thing that we did that. We received a lot of bids and to do the project. What we had left to bid out was the bid packages 1 through 4, which was the basic framing and construction of that project, and that came in at $181,000, which was considerably less than the only combined bid package that we had prior to that. And then roughly overall, if you break down all of the bids, I think it saved the district about $60,000 if we would have broken down bid packets 1 through 7 and went with the low bid on each one. So
I think there might be a good thing, probably the reason for that is it's because it's going to be something worse than
well, I think that put the project back a little bit, but at the same time, it saved us some money to put elsewhere, so we haven't had a high school science lab ever, so another few months, to me, I think, the money that we saved is well worth it.
So your completion time now is?
January 4th. And I think they'll be able to do that. Are there any questions on the bid? We'll address that later
Okay.
during the normal meeting. Okay. We had more damage to the high school gym roof. The layer under the layer, the foam layer, is starting to come off, and that was something that I believe had a life expectancy of around 10 years. And it's met that, but we're starting to see it tear off in different places. I had a company come out by the name of Trimco and gave me a bid to fix all of the places on the roof, putting the foam back over and then sealing that all up again. And I think that will get us by, but eventually we're going to have to look at doing something more permanent to that roof. We're going to continue to repair it, and I don't know whether if you could speak to what the insurance companies, how they would typically deal with that. But I think after you turn in so many claims on a certain piece of your property, they start to frown on that a little bit. I have no recommendations or anything for you at this point, but I think it's something that we need to talk about and explore.
Is it something that the fix will get us through the point that we're done with the science lab, we've expended that money, and then we can potentially use some
I hope.
tax money on that? Okay.
Let's sketch out the architect and see, find out what our options are for that. That's the direction I think we're going to take.
They'll definitely be able to give us some options and recommendations. And then the last thing I have, I had a list of summer repairs that we were able to accomplish. And the list is pretty extensive, and I'm, again, very pleased with our summer help. We had a lot of support staff that decided that they would like to work and paint classrooms, and that's something we haven't been able to do for a while. So just kind of going off the list, here's some of the things that we were able to accomplish over the summer. At Sangamon Valley East, we extended the basketball court on the playground surface. Hutchins Excavating did that work for us. They also brought in fill dirt once we kind of leveled off that blacktop area, extended it past the basketball goals. We came in and put in a border around all of the playground area, filled that in with mulch, and then they came back in and brought in some fill dirt and kind of leveled things out. And, I've had a lot of people call me and say how nice it looks over there at the Sangamon Valley East. So playground looks really nice. I think they were able to finish 3 classrooms. Is that correct?
We painted 4 classrooms this summer.
Ended up painting 4 classrooms with volunteers over the summer over there, so that's a plus. And we're able to add central air to the office, which again I've had both of the secretaries comment on how nice it is to be able to be cool in there and be able to talk on the telephone and hear people when they come in the office, because the window units were just terrible noise-wise. So at West, we were able to remove the appliances from the kitchen. We had the asbestos tile that was in the kitchen abated. We replaced the floor with tile, and that's all put back and repaired, and it looks really nice. Playground equipment was painted by volunteers, and then we also had central air over at Sangamon Valley West. At the middle school, we removed the appliances from the K-Pack area. We disassembled the stage. Again, we had all the asbestos tile abated from the K-Pack and the concession area, about a 3,000 square foot area that we were able to do. So I have a tile replacement option, which I hope we can take action on tonight to cover the concrete. I'm not sure how many classrooms we ended up painting over there. Eight. So our summer help painted 8 classrooms over there. They came over and they painted one classroom here, and I think they also painted in the concession stand for the JFL, so they got
Most of the main hallways done here, so it's really nice.
And then David Campbell repaired the entryway into the middle school and also the wall in the office and painted that, and it looks really nice as well. So as far as the high school, we're obviously the science lab not completed, but we're finally moving in the right direction on that. We gutted the kitchen over here. We were able to remove the asbestos tile from the kitchen. Again, we put in new tile, we put in new ceiling tile. The kitchen area looks really bright white and clean over there now. We're able to paint that area as well. So we still have to work on the boys' bathrooms up on this level, and we'll probably start that project once the construction starts on the science lab, since they're all right up there together. And I also want to still redo the partitions in the bathroom up here by the entryway into the gym. I think those need to be repaired. That's something that we just weren't able to get to. Overall, like I said, I'm very pleased with the progress over the summer. We were able to accomplish a lot. I came here in 1994 over to Leopolis, and I think during that time I was able to be in basically all the buildings except for Harristown. And I think the buildings look as good as they have since that time.
As far as the partitions up front, are we going to have those soon or before Halloween?
I'm hoping so. We're trying. We're waiting on parts. So, like I said, I think it was a very productive summer, and I appreciate the board, the direction, and allowing us to do those projects too.
What about the smart boards there?
They are in
They've been
process.
ordered.
Yeah.
They've been ordered?
Yes,
Any
they're ordered
prediction on when
last
they're
week.
in?
Usually it takes, I'd say, about 3 to 4 weeks to get all of them in, and then they will install them as well.
They're going to take care of the installation on those. What they're doing, the price that they're doing for us is basically a wash of having our people do it. So we may as well let them do it, like Bruce and Jason focus on something else. So hopefully by the end of the month, those will be installed.
If you have nothing else on the superintendent's report, you can go on to old business.
We have a circus that's going to be put on. We talked about it at the July meeting, and I did not have it on the agenda for appropriate board approval, so I will ask that we allow the Sangamon Valley West PTO to use the Leopolis campus for a circus on September 1st, 2016.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the Sangamon Valley West Elementary PTO to use the Iliopoulos campus for service on September 1st. Made by Mike Staub, is there a second?
Second.
Brad, call roll please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes.
And next up, we have the combination bid for the science lab. I would recommend that you award the bid to John Co. Construction for the amount of $181,000.
So a motion to award the high school science lab combination bid for bid packages 1 through 4 to John Co. Construction for the amount of $181,000.
So moved.
Made by Martha Leeper, is there a second? By Joe Stahl, call roll please.
Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes.
As I mentioned, I sent you a note about Zion Pro out of Decatur. It's very difficult finding competitive bids for to go with the epoxy floor covering in the K-Pack. And talking with Randy and Bruce, the cost to do the epoxy floor covering was about $1 more per square foot than what it would be with tile in there, but the durability and the fact that we won't have to scrub and strip and wax will save manpower in the long run. I think this is going to be a very durable finish. It's going to look nice. They're also going to do some repair work there's been some settling in the, I guess it would be the southwest corner of the K-Pack. I think it's been like that since '94. There's a pretty good sized gap between the foundation and the wall. We're going to repair that as well while we're doing the work. I called a company out of Decatur called Sloan Creek twice, and they never returned my call. And other than that, the only other company that I knew of was out of Champaign. And I'm pretty comfortable with this, the gentleman from Zion Trail in Decatur is local. So I would recommend that's the direction we're going in.
Is there any type of warranty on it, or a life expectancy, I guess?
They-
Longer than tile?
Yes, longer the tile, like I said, less maintenance.
It's the whole K-Pack.
K-Tag, concession area, there's a couple different storage rooms back there that will cover the entire area.
What area would you call that, just leave it the concrete as the surface?
We initially thought maybe that would be a possibility, but after looking at the concrete itself, you can see everywhere where the floor tiles were, and also the seams of the concrete were not as good a condition as I had hoped. So, having somebody come in and scrub it and then put a clear coat over it, I think it would look about exactly what it looks like now, which is not real good.
He said that if you did that too, the moisture would come up with great big bubbles in the clear coat, and you just have to redo it every 2 or 3 years to the concrete.
So it's a maintenance issue.
They're not, if they put some, are they doing some type of epoxy over that before they turn it over? That's the way I understand that, because that's a really question.
Yeah, this company, their epoxy product binds to that actually go into the pores of the concrete to see it to stop that water penetration. We were referring to the fact if we just had somebody come in and maybe do like a diamond grind on it and polish it and then seal it, but you still have the opportunity for moisture to come out through the concrete, and we would be back to putting a finish on it. I think it's a great option, and it's low maintenance, and I know a lot of schools would kill to have an additional space like that in their buildings, so I think it's a great space, and I think it's underutilized, and a lot of it has been because of the condition of the floor.
So we need a motion to award K-Pack floor covering bid to Zion Pro for the amount of $13,128.
So moved.
Made by Leonard Williams, is there a second? Second by Brad Santola, call roll please.
Stop,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Santola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Oakley.
Yes.
Okay. Now we get down to the first reading of District Goals 1 and 2. I think I communicated with everyone that the 3 and 4 that we read last month, I sent to IASB, and she has some additions and changes she'd like to see made before we proceed. So we'll just do the first reading of Goals 1 and 2 this evening. Basically, this is all things that we pulled from our April goal setting meeting, and we've tried to add to from all of the tables that were there, and sent in their things and conferring with Mr. Meadows and what we'd like to see progress. So the first one, goal area 1, is facilities. The vision is the district will provide a safe and effective learning environment for our students and staff. Goal 1 is to create and implement a maintenance rotation program. Still actively looking at set goals at that point, once we see all of the schools get on a maintenance rotation of things that need to be done, whether it be yearly, every 2 years, whatever, that they're continually done throughout the district. And then monitored, of course, with the health life safety survey and the maintenance requests that come in from the teachers and principals and that type of thing. Goal 2 is obviously building a new science lab that we have in process here at the high school. Sub-goal 1 is create a design space to meet both current and future needs of the Sangamon Valley High School Science Department. Goal 2, secure funding for lab and work toward target completion date of January 4th. Those data sources will be VLEU architects, First Mid-State investment bankers, and the superintendent, and we'll have monthly monitor dates through completion. Goal 3 is to improve the facilities guided by the 10-year safety survey through the use of the 1% county sales tax monies that we get. And I believe at this time we have not seen the 10-year.
No, I spoke with BLED this week, and they're they're still putting that together. It is a pretty extensive report, and they do a report for each building. So when that report comes out, I'll probably have them come to the board meeting and do a presentation on that. Give us some ideas on how to proceed.
Okay. So then, sub-goals under that would be to improve outdoor lighting at all campuses, to install air conditioning in all buildings, and to look into installing new windows beginning at the Sangamon Valley East Campus and working our way west. Also, monitoring these by superintendent updates and recommendations. And we would look at this biannually, thinking April and October, so we can have some set things to look forward to for summer work and then get an update in October. And then goal area 2 was financial vision. The vision is the district will develop a budget structure to support all programs and operations while working within its means. Goal 1, utilize alternative funding avenues to relieve some of the burden on taxpayers. Sub-goal 2, pursue additional revenue sources including grants, donations, and partnerships. Sub-goal 2, Sub-goal 1. Sub-goal 2, continue to make use of the 1% sales tax money. And again, superintendent report and monthly balance sheets, which are all given and we discuss monthly here in our meetings. Goal 2 is to prioritize expenditures to effectively meet the district goals. Sub-goal 1, support the implementation of academic programs that complement and enhance learning. And sub-goal 2, to hire and retain highly qualified administrators, faculty, and staff. Again, we'll use the superintendent as well as the curriculum director as our data source, and we will monitor this biannually in May and December. I guess at this point, looking for anything that anyone would suggest we add, change, or delete before we send it off to IASB to get their notes on it.
Yeah. Goal 3 for the improved facilities. I'd rather see the air conditioning and the new windows ahead of improve that building.
I don't think the sub-goals are they're not prioritized in order. If you look at any other area, facilities, academic, we're not doing them in that order.
I think the goal is
You have to put something first, but they're not prioritized. This is what we do first, this is what we do second.
So we choose what we do first.
When we have the funds.
Before, last fall, I was working with Springfield Electric on the possibility of grants to improve the lighting on our outside facilities, or outside of our facilities in all our buildings. Also looking at upgrading lighting here in the cafeteria and the gym as well. And then with the budget impasse, that all kind of came to a standstill. So this is something that I would like to continue to look into and see if we can't do that with grant money instead of using.
Are we looking at central air or like the Mitsubishi wall unit type deals?
I would leave that up to the architect, what they make a determination on that. It seems to me like the individual units might be the way to go, but
I think we have to look into the electric capacity and all of those things at the same time. Architects will have to come in and say what can actually be done, I guess. Any other additions, changes?
Like on this facility work and stuff, I mean, when we talk with the architects and get a potential cost as of, this year date, and put it down in there so we have an idea what kind of funds we need to procure in order to accomplish that goal.
you mean like for the air conditioning, for example?
Air
or
conditioning, windows.
Right, before we would move ahead on anything, we would have to look to them to come in and give us the direction and say what can be done, what costs will be taken, and we'll have to take direction based on that. These are just goals in order to know what we're working toward over the next 3 years. This is to be a 3-year, I guess, goal.
We got one for the window that moves next year.
We got an estimate, I mean, just off the top of his head.
set in stone. This is just a directive to give us a starting point with which we can work and start directing these people to do the inspections and get us some costs and go forward from there. Okay. And we're on to new business.
Under new business, Michael requests the release of our closed session minutes from the November 18th, 2015 board meeting based on the findings of the Attorney General's office. Again, we have Mr. Braun here to talk a little bit about that and maybe explain a little bit about what the findings mean and what we're required to do as a Board of Education.
Happy to answer any questions that you might have. Opinion is a non-binding opinion. Therefore, because we're in the 4th District in Illinois, 4th District has ruled that non-binding opinion has no legal effect. And therefore, it's up to the board to decide what to do. The finding of the Assistant Attorney General, who is Neil Olson, was that the board probably ventured into subjects which were not covered by the open session exclusion, didn't want to go into closed session, when talking about social media posts, specific social media posts. That's the totality of their finding. But again, the bottom of the opinion specifically notes that it is not a binding opinion, and it's up to the board to decide to do what it wants. I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
I have one. I'm the one that made the request, and this was dated May 3rd.
Yes, sir.
I was sent an email that was sent to my own email address, and I made a call in July to ask to see their findings, if they've been settled yet. And they said they had, and they sent it to me. And I guess your office received this on May 3rd,
We received it May 16th.
16th.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering why the whole board wasn't informed of these findings at the June meeting.
I can explain why I didn't bring it forward to the board, and in hindsight, maybe I should have, but I assumed that I received a copy of the email as well that was sent to you and Mr. Braun, and I never heard anything from you, and I assumed at that point that maybe you had decided to let this go and move on. I received a call from Mr. Braun shortly after I received the email, who basically gave me the same spiel that he just told you guys, and the fact that it's a non-binding opinion, and as a board, they don't have to do anything. So I felt at that point, if you wanted to continue on with it, that since you made the request, that you could put it on the agenda.
And Mr. Oakley, I do need to correct myself. I received it May 3rd and did in fact was checked. I did in fact communicate with the superintendent May 4th. The first time we discussed it was that's what it came.
I guess a question I would have is, are we setting a precedent? We don't ever open up closed session minutes. Does that leave us open to any legalities issues in the future?
As a legal matter, no. As a practical matter, I acknowledge the practical facts of the board. The actual conclusion of the public. So I don't want to mislead you as a practical fact. But as a legal matter, no, you can. The board is empowered. Specifically noted that the board retains the authority to determine when things, so long as the line residential matter, there's no legal precedent for open account. It doesn't set a legal precedent. As a practical matter, I suppose we would be acknowledging that the Attorney General is accurate in terms of the opinion. I want to be careful not to disclose too much in terms of the opinion publicly, because it does address the issues in closed session, which are on the closed session discussion.
You've reviewed these closed session minutes?
Yes.
Have you reviewed them?
Yes, sir.
Do you see any reason for us not to release them?
So I need to confess my bias honest. I don't much like thumbing my nose at anyone who tells me to do something. The Board of Education, the Attorney General report. So when the Attorney General says to me, you ought to release them, I don't much want to look back at the Attorney General and say thanks, but no thanks. That said, the nature of the discussion which occurs in closed session is something the board ought to review before it makes a determination whether or not to open. I think that's only fair that you guys have an opportunity to hear what it is you're releasing publicly before you decide to do so. I can tell you there's nothing that concerns me within those discussions, frankly. If I can be fully honest with you, I view on closed sessions, I wouldn't say anything in closed session, I wouldn't say in open session, because closed sessions, that not necessarily the Board of Education, which controls the closed session, you do. But the public, you have to, you're stewards of the public, and therefore you have to protect the public. And I think the nature of that discussion is in fact an attempt to protect the public. The Attorney General says the public doesn't need protecting in this particular instance, and therefore it's perfectly okay to turn them over, and they should be turned over. I'm comfortable with their case. That doesn't necessarily mean that if I were sitting in your seat, I'd be comfortable with that case. Sitting for myself, I think you understand the practical reality of the things that are discussed and the nature of the people that are discussed. I know all the people personally, and I understand personal issues we may be discussing may not be the things that are necessary to talk about. In open session, you'll have to decide to what extent you want to be compliant with the request. And Neil Olson says at the end of his letter, we request that the board turn them over. It's not my, so it's your call. I'm sorry, I don't think that was kind of certain when I bounced around the ones there, but I think it really is your call as a board. It's appropriate for you to tell them without binding opinion. If there were binding opinion, I would tell you you must comply. If there were even real imminent threat of litigation, I can wait for the litigation rights. But with neither occurring here, because the matter is closed, it's only appropriate for the Board of Education to make the determination that we've all got the opinions. It's appropriate for you to look at that, listen to the minutes, and decide whether you comply with your request of the Attorney General without the order.
Are there any other questions, comments?
I'd like to make a motion.
So that's a motion to,
Well, I make a motion to release the closed session minutes of the November 18th meeting as per the request of the Attorney General's office from the 8th minute to the 59th and 52nd minute of closed session.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Have a call over, call roll, please.
Stahl?
I'm going to say no until I get to read it here to myself again.
Williams?
No.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
No.
Leeper? No. Oakley?
Yes?
Stahl?
No.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is what we do each year.
We do it twice a year. past practice has been that we keep those closed.
So I need a motion to keep the closed session minutes closed to the public. So moved by Leonard Williams, seconded by Mike Stowe. Call roll, please.
Williams,
Yes.
Santola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
No.
Staub,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda,
Michael requests that the board reevaluate the unilateral contract between the Board of Education and Greg Hutchins. If you remember, back, Mr. Hutchins agreed to a contract with the board before the actual case went to hearing with the board. And I've never dealt with an issue of trying to get out of a contract, but I think Michael would like to talk a little bit about it.
I had talked to, before we go on, I talked to IASB today on another matter, and I just brought this up, wondering if we had handled it the right way, and I was told we indeed have not, and I'll take the blame on that one. Basically, they indicated to me that once an issue has been closed, ended, complete, that it should just basically be a board decision. It should be a decision between the superintendent and the president, actually, she said, whether or not to put something on the agenda. I think in the future, we're going to change our board practice thing to, before something goes on the agenda, something of this nature, something that's been closed, we've been moved on, I think we should look at putting it on there to see if it should even be a board vote to be put on the agenda prior to doing such a thing. So it's on there now, so now we can move on and discuss.
Greg Hutchins was entered into an agreement that he would not come on the property except for JFL and youth league and graduation. For a period of 1 year, he came to the board meeting, he apologized for the incident. He has honored his agreement for the last 6 months. I'm just wondering if we change the agreement by having him come back on school property and perform work for us. Since he, the original agreement was he was not coming on school property. And I would like to see him allowed back to the other school stuff that he's not allowed to on a probationary period. And if the other board members feel that he's, shouldn't be allowed back for the, for the athletics that the incident occurred, which would be basketball, I'm fine with that. I still think he should be allowed back on a probationary period for the remainder of the 6 months. He's allowed back to do work here with heavy equipment. He's allowed to be with our kids and the coaches through the youth programs. He's had no incidents. And I'm wanting to see that happen.
Is he participating with the Chad Hardy's in charge of it? Yeah. So he's not participating in anything. Right.
He's at the game on Saturday, but he's not coaching or anything.
But he didn't come to the game?
He's allowed to do that. This is an agreement, you agreed, you said yes to this agreement. And these were pretty much terms that Greg came to us with. This is what, we didn't come to Greg with these terms, Greg came to us with these. So,
And now I'm allowed to see Ray allowed
and
back.
Greg's okay with this.
Is he?
Yeah, yeah. I talk to him about every week, actually.
So I think what we need to do then is we need a motion to, what you're looking to do is changing a previously agreed upon contract suspension, if you will.
Can we do that?
Yeah, I would like to.
David?
Long?
You're looking for a motion.
Yes,
Can we allow him back on a probationary period for the remainder of this 1 year?
that's not my question. My question is, Stephanie's asking for a motion to change the contract, I don't think we should do.
I'm sorry.
Stephanie's asking for a motion to change the contract to let him on to do work, is that what you're asking?
No, he's wanting to give him a probationary process and let him come back to games and that type of thing.
Excluding basketball.
And
If you're not, if it's already in there, then you can work, right?
the only thing he's excluded from is sports and school activities.
I think
That's not what I was, the way it was laid out to me.
that's setting a bad precedent, I think. You got faculty members, employees looking at us to protect them from these kind of incidents. I think this thing should just proceed as agreed upon by all parties.
Can I make a motion to let him back on probationary period? From legalities and everything?
What can you specifically state in motion as far as what you're wanting to allow them to do?
Allow him back to walk on school grounds, participate in the athletics, with the exception of the basketball, for the remainder of his time on probationary period.
Greg even want this.
Have you talked to Greg about this? Yeah, because last time he's busy on Fridays, Mondays, and Thursdays, same times our kids are playing football, which Connor will be playing football too. I don't know why he would come to a Sangamon Valley game and not go to where his child is going now. So, and I just talked to Greg last weekend, so.
Well, regardless.
Regardless, let's just try to see if this motion
Yeah,
passes.
if you want the motion to read, you're making a motion to change the agreement to allow Mr. Hutchins to be now in a probationary period excluded only from basketball for the remaining 6 months, correct? Okay, so motion made
I
by,
have a question for Lou. Is he allowed on school grounds to do work?
Yes.
Yes.
Per the previous agreement.
yes,
Where's the state at?
it doesn't state he can't, I guess. It states what he's excluded from.
And this company does work, and we initially, the first concern was snow removal, and in speaking with him, he said, hey, I have other people that can come and do the work. I don't even have to be there. And I think the point of it was to keep him away from our athletic event, because that's where the issue was. We don't have a problem with Hutchins excavating, we have a problem with Greg and his behavior at the ball games.
It was one particular sport, basketball. It wasn't
Doesn't matter.
at all sports, it was at basketball.
It doesn't matter at this point. This agreement is signed by
And
both
motion on the
parties
floor.
who knew and fully understood the terms.
Motion on the floor.
We have a motion made by Michael Cooley. Is there a second? Take that as a no, so motion fails to pass. The binding agreement will stand as documented. On to district budget.
Okay, I've been working on the budget and looking at the numbers over and over again, and currently the education fund is sitting at $611,850. At the end of this fiscal year, I'm projecting that we deficit spend by $90,934. One of the things that, after going through this process the second time, I feel like I'm being a little bit more cautious with our revenue, especially in the state aid. Last year, I projected that we were going to receive $1.4 million, and it came in closer to about just under 1.2. This year, they're saying we're going to get roughly $1.2 million, and that's what I have budgeted. So I feel like my numbers as far as on the revenue side of it are, to me, I think that I'm cautious with that number. On the expense side, once again, the second time through it, I have a much better handle and understanding of the expenses, and I just think the budget's going to be much more accurate than than what I gave to you last year. And I'm hoping that, again, being a little bit cautious on the revenue side of it, that we'll actually receive more revenue in what I'm projecting there, which will take a chunk out of that 90,000. Operation maintenance, I have that, we currently have 657,834 in that fund, and I'm projecting finishing in the black at 21,380. Debt service is what we are currently using to pay off the working cash bond, and so we tax specifically for that amount of money, so that we won't see a variation, we will not see revenue or a deficit spending in debt service. Transportation, 457,397, our starting fund balance. And I'm projecting that we'll finish the year in the black, 76,682. IMRF, 156,448, and we're looking to finish in the black at $29,002. Our capital projects, that is our 1% sales tax money. We're starting at 481,633. You can see that the $625,000, that is the debt certificates that we sold to do the science lab project, and that we would pay that project out of that fund. And even with all of those expenditures, I'm expecting to add to that the fund balance and finish in the black at $95,000. Working cash, we're at just a little over 1.5 million in working cash. At Torque, we're at 93,506 with the beginning fund balance, and I estimate that we will be in the black $20,000. And then the last one was fire prevention and safety, 186,80 with the beginning fund balance. We'll finish in the black, $11,680. The estimated beginning fund balance is on your second page. It's almost down to the bottom. We're working our way across. You see that the ed fund is down to 520,916. Operation maintenance 679,214. Debt service 39,650. Transportation 534,079. Municipal retirement IMRF 185,450. Capital projects 576,633. Working cash $1,560,000, 197. Torque 113,506. And fire prevention and safety 197,760. The ed fund obviously is a concern. We can't continue to do that. Major expenses again out of the ed fund would be staff, benefits, that sort of thing. Also, we're still in the process of purchasing textbooks and doing some things for the kids in the classroom that we haven't done for years. That comes out of the ed fund as well. So that's part of the deficit. It's not completely all staff and salaries. A good portion of it is some of the things that we're doing district-wide.
Are there any questions on the tentative school district budget?
So, these are the salaries and stuff in the education fund on the second page. So, your next year's budget's about 7.7 million.
That would be a pretty rough estimate.
And salaries and benefits come to roughly 4.5 million in the education fund. Just under.
Yeah, just under that.
for Steve?
Sorry, yes, what do you mean?
Get 1.3.
Well, there are other funds, that's just state aid specifically was 1.2. There's some state funding in there as well. And it combines them all together. The actual budget, if you want to take a look at it, breaks it down specifically item by item. And that will be on display for the next 30 days.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the 2016-2017 tentative school district budget.
Motion.
Motion made by Mike Oakley, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jeff Stahl, call roll please.
Santola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
On that same directive, do we need to just go straight into, or do you have any
No,
guidelines for us?
we just need to set a hearing for the district budget, and I would recommend we do that at our next board meeting. It does have to be on display for 30 days, which will push our September board meeting back to the last Wednesday in September.
So then we need a motion to set a hearing for the 2016-2017 tentative school district budget as part of a regular board meeting on September 28th, 2016. Motion made by Martha, second by Mike. Are all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. And here.
Again, we talked earlier about the high school roof repair. Trimco would like to come out and do that. We did turn this into the insurance after a $5,000 deductible. We had about $2,600 left to repair the roof. They're going to do it for $2,150. That will give us some money. As you may have noticed, as you're pulling up, I had Bodine out here to fix one of our football lights. And in the process of turning on all of the lights, something shorted out in the weatherhead pole, which caused catastrophic light damage across the west bank of lights. The east bank would not turn it off, would not turn on at all. So I thought I had enough money to cover Bodine's run out here to adjust our lights, but it's going to come in more than that because of and I don't think it's anybody's fault other than when they put the lights up, according to the gentleman from Bodine, they used some of the old existing wire that had aged, and it touched a neutral and arced, and it actually dropped the line. I guess it was better to find out this morning at 7:30 than during Friday night.
Okay.
So
So you'll come to that with us for later, a date later?
we're going to have to have it prepared, and I'll report to the board what's awesome.
All right.
On the gym roof repair, there's been issues with it for the past couple of months. We've been fighting to get warranty work done. Is that getting this fixed too, or are we still gonna have those issues?
I'm not going to mess with the people that were out to do the warranty work. They said they would fix that section of the roof as well, and get it sealed down properly. So the company that was coming out, they were specifically to repair the membrane that was on top of the foam, and now we have damage to the foam. Trimco said they would fix it for that amount. So I felt like that was a pretty good deal, and I don't know if we're ever going to get that other company to come out and live up to their warranty.
So then we need a motion to approve the bid for the high school gym roof repair to Tremco for the amount of $2,150.
So moved.
Leonard Williams, is there a second?
Second.
Santola, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Santola.
Yes.
Okay. And then, for the reason, I'm sure everyone's here, the discussion, we've been talking about doing attendance centers, and I guess I want to preface this with, typically when you come to a board member or a board meeting and you want to make comments and that type of thing, the board's here to listen to your comments, we take them into account, and we move on and discuss it at a later date. This evening, I'd like the board to be actually active and being able to speak with you in individually, talk to you, answer questions. Normally, we're told to sit here and listen and not communicate, and other than myself, fortunately. That's just common practice, I guess. So, but this evening, for this item only, we're going to kind of open it up to have a discussion. We will kind of put a time limit on each individual discussion. We don't want to be here until midnight. But we will also listen to, I think the faculty and administration have something to present on it to give some informational items for everyone, and then a couple people have asked to speak, and if when we get to that point, if you'd like to come up front and speak to us, we can go from there. And then I'll turn it over to you. Add from. Yes.
You want me to begin?
Sure.
Or would you like to hear from me today? I guess to start off with, I know this is it's a difficult decision. That there have been some local school districts that have had to go through the growing pains of attendance centers, and it's something that since I came back as administrator in 2006, is something that has always been discussed, and I think it's been a hot topic, and nobody has wanted to really, I think, at times take on the challenge of doing this, because obviously people do not like change. It's one of the things that keep people awake at night, and that being here in the capacity of a middle school principal, as a high school principal, now superintendent, I just think this is something that we really need to consider, because I think the educational advantages of it and what we can do for our kids far outweighs the negatives that we're going to experience. I know transportation, everybody's concerned about that, and that's going to be an issue. And one of the things that I think we can do is, there's transportation software out there. Myself and Ryan Flexter, the transportation director, we have looked into transportation software that you actually enter in all of the students, and they come up on a map, and this program will help you develop routes. You can change, you can stagger start times within the program. Say if we had a sub-bus driver, we could print out a form that actually shows the route and shows each drop-off and what kids should be dropped off at that drop-off. That can be done on paper, it can be done with a tablet. A lot of advantages of this particular software. I think the transportation part of it, it is going to be difficult, but having an opportunity to maybe purchase the program and software early and be able to start working with live students. Our own kids that we currently have in the district right now will give us an opportunity to start developing routes and start tweaking those things. And obviously, we're not going to know our enrollment in kindergarten, but all the other classes we could absolutely do. We could do basically first through fourth, first through fifth, and come up with the ideal routes to minimize the time on the bus. So
I think too, it's not a new idea. I guess I'd like to go on. I mean, Mr. Fowler, when he was here, asked us to do this 2 years ago, and at that time, things changed, and we backed off of that and did not do that. He felt it was the best educationally, it was best for our teachers, and he also felt it was best financially. I think looking ahead, we have to, everyone knows the last 4 or 5 years at least, we have been juggling teachers. This year was a potential, we just moved a kindergarten teacher last year. There was a potential we were going to have to move her back because of kindergarten numbers. We had, was it third grade, second grade came up to third grade last year. They swapped places so that they could have 1 third grade. We have this year, a 4th grade teacher came down to teach 3rd grade because there wasn't enough students for the 4th grade. And it's a continual thing that the teachers are having to deal with. And if you take the kindergartners right now that we actually have enrolled, combine them, split them 3 ways, you have about 15 in each class, which I'm told by educators, such as yourself, is a great number for kindergarten. So, I think looking at the long term of our district, we have to be smart, we have to do what's best for the students first, for their education, getting them the best education, letting these teachers collaborate on a more ideal basis where they're in the same buildings, teaching the same grades, using each other as resources, doing their curriculum together, that type of thing. I think we realize transportation is going to be a concern, but it's been first and foremost since the meeting back in April when so many people commented at our tables and our discussion that it would be so great to be combined at pre-K level and everyone move forward together, which is where this derived again as it came back up at that meeting from Mr. Fowler's original. And I think there were actually board members with me before that had suggested that. I'll give either a shout out there because I think he's always been a proponent of it long before Mr. Fowler came on board with it. So anyway, I think we'll have some administrators speak to it.
I'd just like to add, we were in the two proposals, not just the attendance. We sent out a survey, and when the surveys come back in, the majority of the community wanted to go with the second proposal, not the attendance centers. As far as getting the teachers together, did we not get our teachers together for curriculum days and half days to where they can swap information and whatnot?
No.
Can I speak to that real quick?
Yes.
First of all, thank you guys for coming tonight. Thanks for all the support that you guys are showing tonight by coming out. Just from two different perspectives, being an administrator and a teacher. First, the administrator, I have one of the best teams I could ever ask for. I know that they're going to give their best shot every day at educating your guys' kids. And the last thing I ever want to see is for my team to be split up. Okay, and I see that as a possibility with attendance centers. So personally, I wouldn't want to see it happen. But I was put here in this position for a reason, and I can't, in good faith, go with that whenever you see the advantages that we have with attendance centers. So to go along with that, I was in the 5th grade classroom for 13 years. For the first couple years, it was just myself in there, and I was just a brand new teacher on my own. I didn't really have anybody else to bounce ideas off except for the 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Mason. And so the 5th grade and 4th grade teacher got together to talk, but that's about as far as it went. And then as the years went on, I was blessed enough to have 2 other team members. And I'll tell you what, we worked as a team. I don't really want to pat ourselves on the back. We would call ourselves the A-team. So I just did. But we departmentalized, and I tell you what, we educated those kids to the best of our ability. I thought it was a great advantage to be able to bounce ideas off each other. It wasn't like we were just communicating. You brought up the point about getting together in meetings. There's just something about being able to communicate daily. Every 5 minutes if you need to, you can just step right out inside the hall and talk. But those kids, I felt like whenever I was a part of that 5th grade, we knew them. We talked about them every day. We talked about their strengths. We talked about their weaknesses. And so I felt like that was the best way to handle it. Now, with attendance centers starting at kindergarten, I can only imagine how that's going to impact our kids for their future. I know it's tough because I've got 2 young kids myself. One of them's going into 1st grade, so I try to imagine what that might feel like, having to travel long distance. And so that is tough, so I'm not discounting that whatsoever. But, if you look, someone typed up what we'd been talking about with the advantages and disadvantages, and I get the disadvantages, but the advantages outweigh it. So I feel like I have to push for this. I know that some of the teachers have some things to say too, so I don't want to take up all the time. But maybe they can echo some of my words possibly. But
Are there any other administrators that want to before we move on?
I kind of see the end game, when I meet with my staff, middle school staff, and how, I just jotted a few notes, how they said, speaking of the math curriculum, to know that it's being taught the exact same way all the way until they reach middle school. That's, valuable beyond really our RTI process. Not just simply educating our kids, but understanding what their needs are at home, socially, emotionally, having that bigger picture when they walk through my door. I know these guys do a phenomenal job as well. Just ability to really kind of hone in on our RTI skills and work for those kids and those families. we're not just trying to pick these kids up year by year. It's got to be a whole process. I know my staff is 100% on board. I wish someone were here to voice that today. They have never found a disadvantage to it outside of these things. And me personally, I see it as if you push away your own personal why you don't want it, there's nothing bad for the kids outside of the long bus routes. There is no disadvantage educationally for this. And when you ask about, don't we get a chance to get together and talk about curriculum? No, we have to get together and talk about SB 100, all the unfunded mandates we get thrown at. That's what we have to keep our staff updated on. So it's not always get together and share best practices. I wish it was. I wish our school improvement days were that, but when the state hands you this pile of stuff and says, educate all your staff on this so you do everything right by the law, that's what we have to do. That's what we spent our first half day doing, is learning about Senate Bill 100 and how to best serve the kids and deal with behaviors and expectations.
So do we need to have separate days where the teachers actually get together and do what we need?
And we can go till June 25th.
Yeah, and it's not about, I mean, we had a whole year of 2 o'clock dismissals, both schools got together. You can't share best practices in an hour. I mean, like you said, it's a day after day, I mean, minute by minute. I taught 3rd grade for 14 years. I remember getting together with Mrs. Koniak on those half days. She had so many wonderful ideas, and it would have been so great to have her in the same building, being able to share those, and all 3rd grade classrooms be on the same page. You know, you talk about the movement of teachers, and you think, how can you build wonderful employees and teachers when you're asking them a week before school starts, you've got to move over to a new classroom and get it ready, and possibly even learn a new curriculum. Julie Bauer in my building, I don't know how many times you've been moved from one building to another, from one grade to another. She has stuck with us for this long. I mean, I'm surprised, because any school would have been grateful to get her. So you can't build relationships with teachers and students when you have that movement between buildings all the time, and just the strength that our teachers will have to educate our children. Why are we waiting until 5th grade? They already have started to play baseball together. So I mean, I think it sometimes comes down to differing opinions of the adults in our community instead of thinking about our children first.
Yeah,
So-
I'm the treasurer for the youth league, and we came together.
Yeah,
And we had many complaints about having to come clear across the district for practices and games to the point that we may not be together this year.
that's sad to hear.
I'd like to make a comment here, since I'm kind of the old guy around here. I've been against this center thing.
Can you speak to me?
I've been against this.
Can I shut this off?
No, I'll just talk about it. I've been against this attendance center thing since the beginning of the consolidation, okay? But after giving some thought, my main reason why is because I was on committee 10. I mean, I'm in my 31st year as a board member. And been through 2 consolidations. When we finally passed this, we told folks, we'll keep your grade school in your community. Okay? But then, I talked to some other folks, talked to folks from other districts, board members that I've known for years, and I gotta tell you, I've gone back to my mindset, the one thought I've always had. I've always told myself, it's what's best for kids. What is best for kids is the attendance centers. That is what is best. That is what we need to do. That's my spirit. I don't care if it's a curriculum, athletics, whatever it is. That's why we're here. Is what's best for kids.
And I think at this point, I'd like to turn to some of our educators that I see sprinkled throughout the crowd and ask you to give us some insight as to what you think is going to be the best option.
I can start. Can everybody hear me?
Can you see us?
Oh, I really didn't want to. I'll be honest, this whole thing gives me major anxiety. I'm going to go back, and it gave me anxiety when I was principal a couple of years ago, and I'll go back to what Mr. Britton said. You guys know I am a creature of habit. I have been in that building since I was 8 years old. I don't want to go anywhere. I love teaching kindergarten, and I love my building, and I love my administrator, and if this happens, I can't keep all three. That being said, I'm sorry, Mr. Meadows, I got on the Northwest Education Research Laboratory website, and I was looking for a reason to be able to tell you this isn't a good idea. It's not there. It isn't there. Every research that I found talked about that you get cohesive curriculum, you get equal class sizes, and that's going to give you more consistent instruction. Not just the curriculum, but you can, Sullivan and I are doing the exact same curriculum. When you have vastly different class sizes, you don't get the same instruction. You can't do the same things. Our special ed teachers, right now in our building, we have special ed teachers who have 5-year-olds and 11-year-olds in the room at the same time. So our kids who need the most help, they're saying, okay, you wait there for a minute because this is a totally different age level that I'm teaching. We've been trying all week to get our PBIS, that's our behavior component, to come up with some expectations. But if we had kindergarten through 2nd grade or 3rd through 5th grade, we could have age-appropriate expectations, because I know Mrs. Wheeler and Mrs. Wood are tired of me saying, that's not appropriate for kindergarten. That's not an appropriate expectation. Well, no, it's not, but it's very appropriate for 5th grade and for 4th grade. I think if we did this, and having been a principal, our principals would be allowed to focus their professional development that they provide us and actually be the instructional leaders they're supposed to be. Right now, they're trying to find professional development at our meetings that fits a pre-K teacher and a 5th grade teacher, and that's really hard to do. And socially, it would give them a bigger peer group. I don't know how many of you know the 5th graders who I had as 3rd graders last 2 years ago. There were 3 boys. Can you imagine having a conflict with one of your friends? And that's it. There's nobody else there. So the social benefits for this, and honestly, guys, and parents especially, I would be most comfortable if we did nothing. But at the end of the day, it's not about what makes me comfortable. It's about how we can educate our kids. And it's not about our fears, and it's not about our emotions. I cannot find a single educational reason to not do this. I've looked. I tried really hard to be able to tell him no. And he knows this, but I can't find one. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, parents, but I think it's a good idea.
I'm actually going to scoot over here because as a 5th grade teacher, I can't have my back to anybody. Let's just try to say that. When we first started saying, and I heard say, okay, it might be next year, I wanted to cry. I have since consolidation been with the team at West Elementary in Illiopolis, and I will say I didn't want to go there to begin with. But when we consolidated, we made the decision that it was best for our 5th grade team to move as a unit to Illiopolis. And it was the best decision that was ever made. With that said, I was very saddened when I heard this, because I have grown to lean on my team and on our SBB, as we call ourselves, family. The lady sitting next to me, she's a kindergarten teacher. I'm a 5th grade teacher. I go to her room probably at least once a day. I know she won't be there if we do this. I know you guys also have concerns and think reasons for not wanting this to happen. But when I think about my reason, I realize it's personal. It has nothing to do with the academic needs of our kids. I do have, I think, a little bit of a unique perspective on this situation because we are a 5th grade team at Illiopolis. And since that's happened, since consolidation, it's been, 13 years-ish? We've seen 2 sides of what we have. We've seen the negative side of us having 2 campuses, 2 different buildings. We've seen the positive side of what it means to be a departmentalized entity. The negative side, we have fabulous teachers in our district. They do absolutely everything they can to present lessons, to present programs that go with the Common Core standards and to prepare our kids. With that said, what is done at one building, program-wise, skill-wise, is not necessarily the same as the other building. So in 5th grade, when they come together, we spend a chunk of our time putting them on the level playing field. It takes a lot of time. With that said, again, it's not due to negative teaching. The problem is the distance, which leads me to the other positive side of it. My 5th grade co-teacher is across the wall.
when we talk about collaborating with teachers, we used to sit in the meetings with the other grades, and yes, we used to talk. In 1 hour, teachers can maybe get this much accomplished because we put so much planning and thought into things. If I had to add the time that Mrs. Wood and I talk every day, it would probably be at least 3 hours. Why? She's on the other side of the wall. It's not a quarterly meeting, it's not a monthly meeting for 2 hours, it's not a weekly, a daily meeting, it's hourly. Checking in with her, making sure that we are giving a consistent curriculum that meets the needs of our students. The other thing it does, we share resources all the time. We share our talents. Okay? I think back to the times that I was that annoying co-teacher that Mr. Britton got when we came over. I am horrible at social studies. I don't like social studies. He loves it. When we became a 5th grade team, who did I go to? Who did I lean on? Even when we were self-contained? The man who loved social studies. He was there to support what I needed, and hopefully I taught him how to read a book now and then. But when you have your team right there, you can present the most unified, the most cohesive curriculum and be on the same page with not even just curriculum, but with policies, with rules, with regulations. Everything that comes from us is from the 5th grade team. It goes to every 5th grader in our district. And just as a final note, yesterday, I had the joy of welcoming 48 5th graders who were all new in one way or the other. And I always start that way by telling them that. You're new to 5th grade, you're new to this building, you're new to the teachers, everybody was new in some way. When I walked into the gym, I saw the pods that I expected. I saw the Iliopolis girls sitting here. I saw the Harristown girls sitting here. The boys, they were divided at 8 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I couldn't have told you who was where they came from. By 9 o'clock, they were chatting with each other, they were smiling with each other, they were ready to conquer the year. Kids are resilient. They're going to take charge of and be resilient with whatever we give them. Why not give them the best academic setting we can?
Do we have any other teachers or administrators before we move on to others?
I just feel like I have to say that was wonderful. I am on board with you with having doubts. I was like, we got to keep our schools, get our schools where they are. But after hearing you, I understand what you're saying, and I agree, and I want to put a shout out to Harristown teachers. We're all in one. But I hate to lose the people I work with too. And this is my 30th year. Yeah. Just put up with me 5 more years and get it done. But I want to do the right thing for the kids too. I always have wanted to do that. But I have to say, we have a fabulous staff too. And it will be sad to break each other up. But it'll be a new experience and we can handle it.
And I think too, in some ways, it will unify the staffs more than we ever have been. We're cordial to each other, and I think back to, I look at Carla, and I started teaching with Carla 17 years ago. Well, she didn't start 17 years ago. And, I've worked with a lot of people, I've been in both buildings. And as you move through different staffs, you make new connections. Those connections need to be at our own grade level. And again, I do think it will unify the staffs as far as the K2 building, the 3-5 building.
Change is hard.
Because we're not going to let go of our friendships and our ties over there either. And I think it'll be a unified district better.
Have you thought about how this will impact, as a special teacher, PE and music, when you combine all of those, if you go down to 2 classes, that takes away half of our teaching day. Have you thought about how that will impact those types of teachers?
Then you go down to 2 classes.
Okay, so right now I have 9 classes that I teach, okay? And we have been told that if there will be 3 per class, but possibility of 2 per class. That eliminates classes that I teach. What happens to the music teacher and the PE teacher? How does that work out?
I don't think there's been any real discussion as far as the reduction of teachers. I personally never approached this, and I told this to the staff on Monday that I've never approached this as what I felt was a big cost savings for the district. strictly from an educational standpoint. If there comes a point in time where we are down to class sizes of 40, and maybe not specifically kindergarten, but when those groups move up into the upper elementaries, it's hard to justify 3 teachers for 40 kids at a 5th grade level.
But we also have, I keep referring to this, if we do go forward with this next year being a transition year, getting everyone into their new assignments, what they're going to be doing. The following year, we have 2 retirements already in place that have been on the books for 5 years. Do we potentially not have to replace those people then? Yes, possibly. Based on numbers, we may not have to, and that will be the savings, I guess, eventually. And that may come down to the fact that for the first, at least transition year, I don't see that we will be changing anything when it comes to that.
I don't think we answered your question.
I think, Jennifer, one of the,
I hear what you're saying, and I'll just say, we don't have an answer for that yet. That's something, she's saying as a music teacher or PE teacher in her building,
She'll have less
she's
kids
seen
to teach.
potentially fewer classes that she's gonna have to teach, so what happens to her extra?
well, we had discussed, I know the administrative team had discussed possibly in the lower grades, keeping 3 per class, just because the smaller class sizes. Another thought is possibly including pre-K in music and PE. That would up your classes throughout the day, so.
So you're gonna put pre-K, all pre-K for the district at the Harristown facility. That's what you want to do. So we're gonna put 4-year-olds on a bus. How long is the projected bus rides? Because the last time we talked about this, and the only thing I keep thinking about is the kids are gonna be, we have no air conditioning. We have to utilize active God days when we let them out to do that, leave the heat. So you got them in an unair conditioned room all day. I see my kids come home drenched in sweat, have to carry water bottles every day. Unair conditioned school buses. 7.5 hours in a classroom, and then potentially 2 hours a day on a bus.
Nobody said 2 hours, I don't know where you got that.
Oh, an hour to get to school.
Well, where are you getting an hour? Where are you getting an hour? Have you done the routes yourself to?
No, but they go a place to do that.
Pre-K, I don't know if that was your original question, but pre-K will be half days. Go ahead, sorry.
No, my daughter is currently in kindergarten, and she spends an hour on the bus in the morning to get to school. And we're in Diana, so I mean, we're halfway in between. She goes to Harristown. So I would definitely worry about the bus times for that age.
And I think that's what I think Mr. Meadows talked about the software that he's already looked into.
Sure.
We're talking about staggered start times to potentially even run 2 routes to see if that's a way to alleviate where you get the younger kids or the older kids or however it works out. Nobody's crossed that bridge yet, but transportation is one of our main goals in getting it done the easiest way possible and the better outcome for the students.
And all of our pre-K students at one point in time ride the bus,
Right.
either in the morning to or.
And now they do to and from now, right?
It's important to understand that even though your kid doesn't ride the bus for an hour, there's still kids in our district that do. I grew up 1 mile from the school in Minneapolis, and I rode the bus an hour and a half for 10 years. It still happens.
Yeah, so that's potentially 9.5 hours a day. Unair conditioned heat, 2 hours on the bus, 7.5 hours in class.
3 or 4 weeks a year. Okay. And then do we have any other, we've had a lot of pros. I'd like to hear from a few people that would like to discuss their concerns. Go ahead.
My name's Ashley. I have 2 kids at Sangamon Valley West Elementary School. Mrs. Hawkins is my kindergarten teacher this year. I will say, I think like a lot of the parents that are here, transportation is our biggest issue. And frankly, hearing that you're not sure what you would do yet doesn't make me in favor of this plan. I think before you present it like it's going to be a plan that we should just be super excited about, I'd like to know, are our kids going to have to change the bus halfway through? Are they going to be, my kindergarten are going to be riding with a 12th grader? I've heard some unfortunate stories about the school bus just from last year alone, and honestly, I don't like the idea of them being on a longer bus ride, our smallest students. Now, that being said, I understand that there are educational benefits to it, but I guess I'm concerned when I hear that the curriculum isn't consistent between the two schools. Your curriculum should be aligned with the State Board of Education.
The curriculum is, it's the way you can instruct, because I can't do the same things with 21 students that can be done with 12 or 13. It's not the curriculum, it's the instruction.
Okay. Then I think people need to say it differently. Because one of the things I see on here is that the curriculum is going to be, the curriculum director can specialize and focus different ways. I don't know. My mom taught in an attendance center for 35 years. She says the benefits of it are getting to collaborate with a teacher on your grade, and she loved that aspect of it. But even within classrooms in the same building, people are teaching a different way. They're teaching a different thing. And frankly, it's just really disheartening to hear that the middle school is upset that they're not getting kids on the same level. You don't get kids on the same level in the same grade whether they go to the same school or whether they go to different schools. So my two main issues with this are, and I'm like so against this, but if you could figure out, make me feel better about transportation and reassure me that my kid and somebody from Harristown are coming in together and they're knowing what they're doing now, I would feel better about the whole plan of coming together to begin with. Because right now, that makes me just feel like not great about the two separate classrooms. And I love our teachers, and I think our school rocks, and everyone's wonderful. This is not a put down on teachers or in any way, but I just think stating inconsistencies. My teen teacher, you're not good at social studies, so nobody wants to hear their teacher's not good at social studies.
Are you good at everything you do?
No, but I am in my chosen field.
So are we. We departmentalize, so we are in our chosen field, so we are good at what we do. And when I'm not good at what I do, I can lean on someone who has better understanding and knowledge of that subject.
It came off. Kind of made me feel like, ooh.
It's just misunderstandings between people who are for it and people who are against it. So things need clarified.
Okay. I'm Amanda Lubick. I live in Illiopolis. I have a kindergartner. And there are schools that go from county side to county side and come together and ride just as long. If she can get an education, and it's a good one, so be it. If it's a problem, then that's on me to make that adjustment, I feel like. But I can't, it irks me so badly to have our children play together every summer, and that is okay. But then we can't come together throughout the whole year. And it irks me that our whole school district is so divided because of these 5 years that we can't come together and be a group and have school spirit. And our children see it, our children know it, we know it growing up, and it's the best for everything. You know, I was there April when we as a board talked about things and had community members here, and other than education, which no one can deny right now, that this is good, not good for education. It's the best benefit you can have. But the second thing that got brought up was our cohesiveness. And to split us for 5 years as parents, where the big problem is, and as kids, makes no sense. So that's where I am on it. I'm looking for my kids. If they have to ride 15 minutes longer, fine, because they're going to go get a good education. And that's going to last a whole lot longer in their minds than that bus ride. So.
Yes. Mr. Peters?
All right, I'm gonna step over here so the camera gets my good stuff. I am in favor of this, and I have been for quite some time. Basically, I've got a tale of almost 2 students, both children that have gone through the Sangamon Valley West Campus. My daughter, large classroom size, they split it early on, in the kindergarten, 1st grade, maybe 2nd grade. It was no problem for her, when she got to 3rd grade or 4th grade, she had that large classroom size. My son, on the other hand, same situation, large classroom size, it was split 1st and 2nd grade. I may be wrong on 2nd grade, I can't remember exactly. As they got further in, the curriculum got a little bit harder, kids in that classroom got put together, the kids that tend to struggle with it more are the kids that have a harder time learning. And he was one of those kids. I saw the teachers come together. They gave up planning periods. They gave up lunchroom time. My wife worked really hard with the teachers or whatever to try to get him everything that he needed because he required some extra help. That's where I feel that the attendance center is really going to benefit everybody. I don't necessarily know that we have to have exactly the same classroom size because you can have kids that need more help in one classroom and maybe have a fewer numbers than another classroom, I guess. I don't know, that's for the administrators and the teachers to figure out. That's my take and one reason that I've been such a big advocate of the attendance centers. As far as the transportation, like Mr. Stahl here, I rode a bus for a lot of years as a kid. You know, it was not my favorite thing to do as I got older. You know, I hated it because when I was younger, it didn't really bother me much at all. So it was something that we had to do. One thing that I always took into consideration when I was up here as a school board member, knowing that I'm on the west side of our school district, there's been kids, maybe not kindergartners or first graders, there's been kids from the east side of the school district that have came to the west side for several years now. So I don't really know that being anybody that, I don't know who's got an axe to grind against the transportation necessarily, but myself, being from the east side of the district, I have no problem with my daughter, this kindergarten now starting this year, my youngest daughter, getting on the bus and heading to Harristown. I'm all in favor of it because I've been through it twice already. I think the social aspect is a big benefit. Seeing those kids come together in 5th grade, the friends that were made, we kind of wish that it would have been that way all along. I also feel that, our school district's been consolidated for a long time. Our communities are not. I think this will go a long ways towards bringing our communities together and making us grow. So, thank you for that.
Anyone else? Back here, back.
My name is Amber Air. I live in my office and I have a second grader at Sangamon Valley West. One of the things that we talked about was the busing, of course. I mean, we're going to have our smallest, maybe 3 and 4-year-olds from pre-K traveling all the way to Harristown. Now, I have a kindergartner coming in next year, so that concerns me greatly to have her on those buses. And then with families having multiple kids, you could possibly have kids in 2 or even 3 different buildings because next year my daughter would be in Harristown, my son would be in Illiopolis. So,
And I think we've done that, just from a parent standpoint, I've got one in every building as we're set up right now.
and I can see that at middle school and high school, but we're talking about our smallest students, and that concerns me. And as far as parents, we want parents involved in education, coming to the school events. You're going to have different buildings having different events. You're stretching parents will fit into there as well.
I think that would be on us to also organize and,
No.
Go ahead.
I was just going to speak actually about that because we just went through our calendar for this year. And we're really working hard actually to bring things together. Like our Veterans Day program this year is going to be everybody. We're going over to Illiopolis. So Harristown's going over there. Illiopolis will be going together. We really are trying actually to make things more cohesive that way too. So I think that kind of is an issue that we've addressed, that we are trying to make sure that parents don't have to stress themselves so much that way.
And I believe there's going to only be one reading night?
Yes.
And have all the schools together for the one reading here at night.
So we're trying to make that easier for you.
I just wanted to say, well, I'm not necessarily against the idea of attendance centers. I can't argue with all the pros that everybody has talked about. I have a daughter who started 5th grade yesterday, and I was probably more nervous than she was. However, when she seen the class list, she was extremely nervous because most of the Harristown kids, a good chunk of the Harristown kids were in one group. She was in another group, and she may have totally gone that way out of her head. But she was devastated. So I was nervous for her going into 5th grade, kids she didn't know, in a new building, longer bus ride. And she came home and she said, "Mom, I made 2 friends." And so these kids don't have a big of a problem coming together in 5th grade as the adults do. Generally speaking, yes, sometimes they do. But the kids make their friends, and that was on the first day, and they got out of school at 11 o'clock. My concern is, and this is maybe a strictly selfish, personal thing like a lot of people are saying, while the K through 2 in Harristown and the 3 through 5 in Illiopolis balances out your years of elementary school in each building, your Illiopolis is still having your junior high. We live in Harristown, in the far end of the district. I work out by Caterpillar. I'm spending now 6 years traveling, and I don't know that that is exactly fair or balanced. How you fix that, I don't know. I don't know if you can add 3rd grade at Harristown in attendance centers. It just seems like a lot. We know that going in. We built our house 7 years ago in Harristown. We knew that going in, we would have to come to Illiopolis. We were fine with that. But now you're asking 2 more years, and I'm okay with it going to Illiopolis. That's not my problem. It's just, it seems like a stretch, and I think that's something that the board should really consider and maybe take into consideration. I mean, and the bus rides is exactly, stop times maybe stagger so that a bus route can go and then come back. A lot of schools do that. And we're in a unique situation where we're spread out. A lot of schools in the area that do attendance centers in Mount Zion, they're all in one town. So it's not quite as an adjustment as it will be for us. But like I said, I agree with academically. I love the teachers. We've had great experiences with all of our teachers. But that's just something that I wanted to mention. Boards take into consideration. Thank you.
I think somebody was very bad at the nothing for willing to speak. Right there.
I just think it's all about the kids, and I just, whatever's best for the kids don't care what the bus they ride, they just want to have fun and have an education. And all I'm hearing is, no offense, it's I. And the parents are not coming together, or we're not coming together as a community. And we're rubbing off on our kids the hatred towards everybody else. And that's my biggest thing that I don't like, is just that we're rubbing off on our kids, we're showing hatred to them. I think we should be adults and just be about them and their education. And it's all about them, because basically they're our future. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
I just have a quick question, and this is probably maybe more than Mr. Meadows, in reference to the software for the transportation. I currently have my 6th child in the district. My wife's been an employee of this district for 19 years, so I have a very vested interest. And I too am concerned about the buses. But again, numerous people have already expressed that while we may have new kindergartners that now would be riding the bus, somebody's had kindergartners that's been riding the bus the whole time, always. Even as we are now, there are kindergartners that ride the bus an hour every day too, so none of that's changing. I do have a concern that I agree with this lady here as far as the distance of the districts. I have 3 students in Harristown, 1 in Illiopolis, and 1 in Miami. It is difficult at times, especially in extracurricular activities, when we have students in Illiopolis who are playing a sport on the east side of town. And from Harristown, especially if you're on the east side of Harristown, you have to drive 25 miles to Illiopolis to drop them off in a bus, to drive 75 miles to the other side of Decatur, to Saragordo, or to somewhere like that. And then you have to drive 75 miles back to Illiopolis to pick up that student to drive 25 miles back to the other side of Harrison. Talking like 180 miles in a day to watch basketball. I think it would alleviate that for many people, and that's at both ends, depending on which way we're going, is if part of that transportation software could be figured into the extracurricular activities, so that when I'm a Harristown family with an Illiopolis student, that somehow we can figure in that as far as that extracurricular event, is there a possibility of putting 2 stops in that bus? And instead of me driving 25 miles to one town to go way back over here, and I'm not trying to pick apart this, I'm just saying that if we're looking at new software, maybe that's something that could be integrated, because that would alleviate a lot of transportation on those after-school events. And when you've got 3 kids, in my case, when you have 5 kids from 3 different buildings, it's a whole lot of driving all around to try to get to all 3 towns and away games and everything else. So again, I think the transportation is absolutely the key to getting this through the district. And maybe that means getting the software a year in advance of when we want to change this, so that we can start working on it and tweaking it and figuring all that stuff out. And I think if we can solve the transportation problem, 99% of the rest of the arguments against or disagreements would go away. So I think that is a very valuable asset in that transportation software, if we can figure that out.
And I think that has been our goal since the April meeting, because we knew the only thing that came up at that meeting was transportation. Hence the reason Mr. Meadows started that process already, and we're moving in that direction to make sure it's as seamless and as good of a transition as possible if it goes through.
Can I ask a question about the software? You pretty well decided on what you think you want to use it. Okay. Is that something like on next month's agenda? Could we approve purchase of that? And go ahead and let you run some models on it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes? Because regardless of what the ultimate decision is, maybe it helps our transportation as it is.
Exactly right, whether we do this or not, there's benefits of having that software. Right now, everything's in Ryan's head, the routes, and, we always think that nothing's going to happen to anybody, whether it's the bookkeeper or the transportation director, and if we lose one of those key people, we're going to struggle. And we currently have nothing to back up what Carol does. We have nothing to back up what Ryan does. And we need something in place for that, regardless of how we move forward. I think the transportation software would be something that would benefit us regardless.
So we can put that on, and then we put that on the agenda for purchase. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Armstrong. I have 2 kids over in Sangamon Valley West. Actually, my son's in middle school and my daughter's, or not my kindergarten, my daughter's in 3rd grade. So actually, this doesn't, I'm out of the fight, essentially, but I do have a question. Is this kind of redistricting, is it going to be something that's going to be given a vote to the parents?
No, it's a board decision.
It's a board decision.
Well, I have a question. Do you board members, I know Leonard, I know the answer to this for him. Do any of you guys have kids that are K through 2 age that are making a vote on this? You do? Okay.
I'm not familiar.
I know Leonard does it, I just didn't know anybody else.
Why wouldn't it be a parental decision, or at least an opinion for a vote? A survey?
We already did.
We did, I know
But
there
that
was a survey like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was
Has
at
there been
least current survey, and then like publish the results of the survey so we could see where community and parents stand on it.
Isn't that the role of the board though, to survey their people that they serve and ask those opinions, and that's kind of what they should do?
Well, it's kind of like just voting in general.
Yeah.
Shouldn't everybody, have some type of vote?
Directive here that we've been voted in as members to sit and look to our administrators, look to our teachers, look for their guidance to guide us in what is the correct thing to do and the best thing to do for our children. And here, we're taxed once again with making a decision that's not going to be popular with everyone, but we have to make the best interest of the students first, the teachers, and then the financial decision as well. And I think that's a board decision.
I'd like to comment, because you brought up a very good point. I'm a lifelong member of this district. I was born in Harristown, we built a home in Harristown. Ties there, graduated tonight in Harristown. What does it take to educate a child? It takes money. Currently, we receive about $6,000 per child from the state? Okay. And then on top of that, you hear a lot about the Macon County sales tax and the Christian County sales tax money that we're doing all this work with these buildings. It's based on the enrollments of the children in Macon County and Christian County. So the less kids we have, the less of that money we get to work on these buildings.
So why not have a plan for the best education possible to lure people in?
That's important. But what I'm saying is, not everybody's dedicated. I feel that if we move forward with these plans, you're going to see a continued drop in enrollment and a continued drop in that money in those funds. And then that means we're going to have to do something else, which means cut programs or look at consolidating again or something else.
Having those things regardless in the future, because we don't have increased enrollment now, and we we're paying teachers in multiple buildings where, when, like I said, when we have the retirements, we may not need to replace those teachers. We'll have teachers already in place teaching at those grade levels. And if the numbers do not constitute another teacher, you're saving there. I don't think that.
We already said this wasn't about money too, so I mean, money's not an issue.
Object.
Money's not an issue yet until, at what point does the enrollment get below the point where money does become an issue?
You said it takes money to educate kids. That's not necessarily true. It does take money, but it takes good use of money and the best possible use of your staff.
Yeah.
And
It
this
takes
is
good
what we're talking
teachers to
about.
teach our kids, and we got them here in our district.
You gotta have money to pay them.
Yeah, but we're doing that just fine, but these kids need to be together when they're starting out in school. I've always been a proponent of that. So yes, I'm in favor of the attendance.
Where do your
I feel
kids
like.
go?
It doesn't matter where my children
St.
go.
Teresa. Doesn't one of them go to
I'm still a taxpaying
Is
citizen.
that one of your freshmen?
I'm gonna stop.
Is it St. Teresa?
I, as a tax-paying citizen,
Okay.
I want the district to do what's right. And if this was saving us money, yes, I said go to St. Teresa. Yes.
Amanda?
I feel like our enrollment would go up if, as many times have been pointed out, test scores go up, which would only improve by having some teachers to make plans, to optimize all of our resources. So if we want enrollment to go up, test scores are supposed to go up, and this is one way to do it.
Okay. Well, I think we've heard, go ahead, one last.
I just wanted to know, are you gonna wait, if you're gonna do the transportation program and put it on for next month, are you gonna hold off on voting on it until you look at that? Or are you gonna vote on it and then line it all out, just to ease some minds? Because I agree, we live here, my husband works here, we've had opportunities to go other places, we wouldn't, and part of that is because we like being able to take our kids to school. We put our kids on our older two on the bus kindergarten year. The first time riding to Brianne's to daycare, our son got set on and hit by an older kid. And I know in Kelson Heights, 2 different buses have to go to that area because there's been some issues just from our school here. So just to ease some minds, are you gonna wait to vote on it, or are you gonna go ahead and vote on it next month as well?
I don't think it'll be next month. I think what we tentatively talked about is October meeting.
I think one of the things, this transportation that we're gonna have to look at, and it's gonna be an added expense, but I think it's gonna be worth it. For these longer bus rides, some buses may need it, some may not, but having a monitor on the bus, because the bus driver can now watch everything that goes on in these buses. And I'm sure that the administrator will probably tell you, over the years, it's when a bus driver walks in and hands in a discipline notice or a referral on the kid, and they don't really know what to do with it because they didn't see what happened. And so if you got a monitor on that bus, it's worth the expense to me to make sure that a 15-year-old doesn't sit on a 5-year-old.
I just want to say, I mean, you're on board, you're making decisions all the time, and that's great. And your opinion on this is, but to me, what's important is someone like Ms. Hawkins, or Mrs. Sullivan, or someone like Ms. Dickman back there, who I know have been educators for years. Their opinion on this is what matters, what they say is best. The last part of that is, everyone's talking about the buses, that's great, he's right. You either need someone on the bus to watch the kids, or you sure need to make sure that an 8-year-old's not on the bus with 13.
They're currently that way now, but the bus drivers try to separate those kids as best they
Well,
can.
they try, and I understand they try, but, bus drivers are human and watch the road, you got X amount of kids on the bus.
Okay, I'm gonna take 2 more. Lacey and the gal in the back. Lacey?
As far as the transportation, a lot of districts don't even pay for monitors. That is a volunteer. If parents would step up, or retired folks would step up in their districts and volunteer for a position as a bus monitor, that would not have to be a paid position.
Agreed. Okay.
I mean, right now, we live in Sylvan, and we have 2 buses that come around each morning and each afternoon. So I don't know, I mean, and maybe the new technology would compartmentalize that, but right now, my preschooler, or my kindergartner gets on with, I mean, I don't know who, and then the rest of the neighborhood gets on the other bus. And it just seems ridiculous that they're spending their resources for 2 buses that go the same exact route, whenever maybe we can put one aide on the bus to make sure that preschool or kindergarten, sits towards the front and is not with their other people, then it would help, but it just seems ridiculous to have 2 buses run the same exact route in there.
That's something we can look into. And I think assigned seating, there's a multitude of things that can be addressed, and I assure you, transportation is on the top of my mind, making sure that it's seamless. So I think at this point, we've heard from a good majority, and a lot of people have the same things. We have the same advantages, being education and the better education of our kids, and the disadvantage being the travel. And I think we knew that going in, which is why we started working on the transportation end of it first and foremost. So at this point, I think we're going to move on to the next item.
One last thing I'd like to address the crowd. If you know anybody that couldn't make the meeting tonight and they have opinions, board members' phone numbers and email addresses are on our school website. I encourage even you guys that didn't get to speak, if you'd like to email us your concerns, pros, cons, it'd be great.
Can I ask one question on what I said? I know a couple of teachers spoke that have been a session with the teachers for them to strictly come up with what they say the pros and cons are. Like I said, you had a study group and that's nice, but my own concern is what the educators over here are saying. Because they're the ones that feel like they won't come to their room and tell me how to feel locomotive, and I don't want to. I promise you.
And I think that's Mr. Settles addressed that within the first day, and that's why several of our teachers came and chose to give their opinions, looking for them as for the most guidance.
And I will say, we talked about it at our building meeting, and every teacher in our building was able to put aside, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss you, I don't wanna go to that building, not that building, we love you, but it's not that building. But everybody was able to put that aside, even Mrs. Hawkins, who's been in that building, and she said forever, and realized this is what is in the best academic interest of kids. And I was actually surprised by that. I was afraid that we would have some who didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want this to happen. But professionally, our building, at least now, I don't know if East chatted over, but our building was very much in favor of it.
And I think that has to be where we sit as a board. We have to be looking for the best interest for our children academically and for our teachers. We want to be able to retain and keep teachers and keep quality teachers in the future. One last thought.
Just a quick question, just for expectation management. This has been going on for 2+ years as far as the discussion is concerned. From the community standpoint, when should we expect an actual true decision to be made? And all of the actual background is done and everything is done for your side of the house to actually truly make a decision. We've heard a lot of good points. Everybody's got a lot of honestly fair concerns. But at the end of the day, when is the decision going to be made and when can we expect that?
I would like to put it to bed at the October meeting and have a final vote. It gives the administration time, if it does get passed, to start the adjustment period and looking into everything that they need to do. If it doesn't, we move on and we put it to bed and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Is there a chance when you, Mr. Meadows, when you get the software, that the busing will not work? Or is it going to involve buying more buses, renting more buses? We're just at a point where you don't know yet, correct?
Right, and I don't foresee the need for more buses and more routes. As a matter of fact, I think our transportation software streamlines our current routes and maybe cut some routes.
And what about bus times? I mean, is there any max bus times out there for kids to be on, or?
I think the goal would be to under less than an hour.
Okay.
Well, from my house, it's 5 minutes to Iliopolis, and the bus gets here at 7:10 in the morning. So to go from my house, which is 5 minutes to Iliopolis, it takes them 50 minutes. What would that mean? You were saying under an hour. I gotta go to Harristown. And I get Harristown's 10 minutes away.
The route would have to.
That was very, very well.
Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for coming and helping us We are, I'm said, very interested in looking and doing what's best for everyone, and also looking very intently at the transportation side of it. Well, next on the thing is, on the agenda is closed session, so I need a motion to enter closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda. Motion made by Leonard Williams, is there a second? Second. Brad? I can't tell the voice.
Brad made the second.
We need to go to session.
Yes. One teacher at Sangamon Valley West Elementary. Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second? Second. Mike Oakley, call roll please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes. Motion to accept the resignation of Brooke Lieber as Sangamon Valley Middle School cheer coach.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams, is there a second?
Second.
Mike Staub, call roll please.
Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Oh. Why isn't she answering? Where is she?
Okay. Motion to employ Cody Trigg as Sangamon Valley Middle School 8th grade boys basketball coach. Brad?
Second.
Mike Staub, second. Call roll please.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to employ Daniel Clark as an 8-hour per night custodian at Sangamon Valley High School. Mike Staub, second.
Second.
Leonard Williams, call roll please.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Motion to employ Matthew McCoy as an 8-hour per night custodian at Sangamon Valley High School. Leonard Williams, is there a second?
Second.
Brad Santola, call roll please.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Motion to employ Rhonda Weiss as a 7-hour per day AEPA to be utilized at Sangamon Valley West Elementary and Sangamon Valley Middle School.
I'll move. Second.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, seconded by Mike Staub, call roll please.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Motion to employ Destiny Messman as a 7-hour per day classroom aide at Sangamon Valley West Elementary.
I'll move.
Mike Staub,
Second.
by Brad Santola, call roll please.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Motion to employ Lynette Cox as a 7-hour per day classroom aide at Sangamon Valley High School.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams, is there a second?
Yeah. Second.
Mike Staub, call roll please.
Leeper? Yes. Oakley?
Yes.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes. Motion to roll the superintendent's contract over for the 2016-17, 17-18, and 2018-19 school years, and to amend the motion to table the salary portion until September after the fiscal committee has a chance to meet with Mr. Negotiations Committee, sorry.
So moved.
So it was moved by Mike Staub and seconded by Leonard Williams.
Wait a minute. Take that back. Okay.
Call roll, please.
Oakley?
No.
Staub?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Santola?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes.
Okay, and then before we stop, I just wanted to ask, should we amend the agenda to look into, or to go ahead and approve the software purchase and get that going instead of waiting until the end of September? If it's going to be utilized anyway?
You can amend the agenda
Absolutely.
to spend them.
Yeah.
Well, if you're trying to,
Do that if you don't
an
think it's.
end goal of October, I think you're going to need time to give it.
Well, and I think that was the main concern is transportation, and I think if we don't make
How much
that-
is it?
The initial cost for the setup of the, everything is $6,000, which will come out of the
I think what you authorize, you can put out a motion to spend X amount of dollars. So what is it, $10,000?
We could do that. We buy textbooks sometimes without the approval of the board. It just kind of.
I'd rather let him do that than buy a better rule.
Well, I'll tell you, the initial fee is around $6,000, and then it's a yearly fee of $3,000, all of which we could pay for the transportation fund.
So is it 6,000 this year or 9,000 this year?
It's 6,000 this year and then 3,000 next year each.
Is there any services that come with that, or?
They'll provide training and support, and it's a company that's been around for a while. And,
It's also something that after the initial startup and they're comfortable with it for a year or two, they could potentially stop utilizing that and just plug in the new people each year.
I think whatever we do, we use it for a couple of years and then we reevaluate whether we need it.
I'll be the way.
We don't need a motion then, it's just under the amount that the seat is, am I correct? Yes. So then I need a motion to adjourn.
I have something for the discussion period. I noticed this as I was registering my daughters in 2 different locations. Next year, can we have one registration location? I mean, Mr. Pearson was here talking about the amount of driving we do. I was wondering if we could use the library next year for one registration location. That way, we don't have parents driving to Harristown, then to Illiopolis, and back to the high school to register 3 different kids in 3 different locations. It'd be more convenient, and I think it's a good idea.
Well, we would have to probably utilize the library, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, because of, yeah, this is pretty full, pretty busy just for high school. So
Usually during orientation, is there a little bit, or registration, is there a little bit of orientation time too?
You can go see your classrooms, yeah, right?
We couldn't see any classrooms in Harris County on the office. It's packed.
Well, you got a year to figure out a better way to do it.
And also, when we showed up at Illiopolis, we had to dig through, we printed the forms all online, some forms were online, some forms were not. Can we work towards streamlining that to where all the forms are online, so when we get there, you don't have to dig through the stack that you've already printed off and see which ones you have and which ones you don't?
Some forms you can't put online by state law. Like the free reduced lunch form, you can't put online because by law, you can't force people to fill it out. And if you mix it in with the registration forms, it's forcing them to fill it out. And that's just, I don't know why the state does that, it's just what they come down.
So if you just put it online separately from the other forms, are you still forcing?
But you have to be able to offer it to the people needing it. It's that really gray area, being able to offer the assistance without forcing people to divulge that information.
Are there a few, I'd like to see us go completely automated, quite frankly, and be able to do it all online. And I know there's an additional fee that parents like $5 for processing their debit card or whatever, but I mean, it's potential that we could look into something like that, because we already take money for lunch over the internet and for dues or whatever through that system, right?
we did that 2 years ago, didn't we?
It was a mess.
Because it deposits the money as a bulk amount, and then Carol had to go through and say, okay, well, $14,000 was deposited, let's figure out whose it is. She had to go through and find out, use my paperwork as to, Joe Smith paid for registration, athletic fee, and that, so she had to take that amount from that and deposit it into that particular child's account, and it was.
Well, can I ask the principals that were there and going to the registration, do you have a lot of people complaining about, the entire time I was a high school principal, I sat at that desk, and as people came in, I gave them their schedule and helped them with their forms, and then they came on, and it was a long day. But I did that, but I never had anybody complain that it was a huge issue about either having to come here, or are people complaining, I guess is my question.
One thing we did, I know, the middle school did kind of work really well, we put out the registration packet minus the stuff they went for FY17 for the last week of school. So they could come pick it up outside of a few other forms like the free reduced list until July 15th. They can pick it up at the end of school. If they turned it in by the end of school, Danielle just hung on to it, and that was it.
Well, I know.
We can always put the papers out a month before school's out and say, if you want to pick it up, this will be the registration papers for next year. But
Thing is, I think you're gonna spend more time printing off more because people lose their.
absolutely, and it's a darn if you do, darn if you don't type of thing. But if you go to a central location, there is pros and cons. The chance of people having to transport kids' documents and things like that in their personal cars, I would be hesitant to do that. Because I don't know if they can actually do that. They can actually take kids' records in their cars.
So it's something we could look into in the future.
Yeah, I would just, I'd be really hesitant to allow people to transport stuff. For that.
Okay.
And just very quickly, to go along with the enrollment numbers, at the kindergarten level, district-wide, we had 6 retentions. I won't get into the building specifics. Ms. Jammer, you said that some of those students did not go through the pre-K program?
Correct, and some started kindergarten the first month of school at the age of 4 years old. That makes a big difference. Just
When you give us
sharing.
these numbers, this is district-wide.
This is
Not by building.
No,
So
not by
6
building.
across the board.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we had 1 at 7th, or 1 in the entire middle school, and I think we had another 1 at first grade. District-wide.
Okay.
Motion adjourned.
So motion to adjourn made by Michael Oakley, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Joe Stahl, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9